Jersey, you know, let's say in comparison with Pennsylvania, do you think you'll get more stringent gun laws out of New Jersey now that Christie is on his way out versus here in Connecticut, here in Pennsylvania?
Yes. New Jersey has stricter gun laws than Pennsylvania. I don't know the details. I apologize. I have a hard enough time remembering all the laws in PA, and I have to refer to notes sometimes. But New Jersey has stricter gun laws than Pennsylvania.
They used to be the most strict in the whole country, but then after Sandy Hook, Massachusetts, I believe, became stricter.
Mm-hmm.
But things are happening in New Jersey, so I'm not sure. But it's still they're better than in Pennsylvania.
Right.
Massachusetts?
Have you ever been to their meeting in Collinswood?
Yeah, I went once.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So and New Jersey used to have a good reputation, but it's still not as strict as in the United Kingdom or Australia.
No, and I believe that we can get there. I think that because of it, and there's a handy dandy little chart that talks about how I believe it's 500 more times more likely to die by gun than in other developed countries in America. And I don't think that we have more mental health issues. I can pass these around if you'd like. There's a bunch of them. I don't think that we have more mental health issues. I think it's gun culture, but I think that because we have managed to change the culture around driver safety and seatbelts and driving under the influence, I think that we will eventually change the culture about gun safety. We know that when background checks were repealed in Missouri, the homicide by gun rate went up 28%. So we know that background checks are working. Unfortunately, we kind of found out the backwards way, but we know that they've been effective.
I noticed Japan is way at the end, and it reminded me how safe I felt when I lived in Japan.
Oh yeah?
That you could walk on the streets, and somehow we've gotten used to the fear, that we have in this country. We don't even realize it, that everybody has a gun. And when I went to live in Japan, all of a sudden, and I became aware of that, what it was like to live here. Where no matter what you do, you always wonder, does somebody have a gun? And there's road rage and all the things that humans do if they have a gun.
But there's something else too. I know in the United Kingdom and Australia, home robberies are much more frequent than they are in the United States.
Okay.
Because they don't, they know their homeowners aren't going to have guns. I don't know. Maybe that's the reason. But that's the issue. So we certainly have a lot more murders here and a lot more shootings, but we also have less home robberies.
Okay.
It's significant that if you go to Canada, I've been in 6 of the 10 Canadian provinces, a lot of people don't even, in the rural areas, locks on their doors. And it is common to have a hunting rifle in Canada.
Yeah.
But I think that the number of murders in all of Canada is not as much as there are in New York City.
Right.
That at least used to be the case. I don't think it actually has changed.
Right.
We've had some massacres, but not like this.
Yeah.
It just feels so much more safe to walk around the streets in Vancouver or Montreal than it does even in Philadelphia.
Has anybody proposed that we follow Switzerland's policy?
Where everyone has a gun.
Every Swiss family has a gun. They have no ammunition. The ammunition is under the control of the government and will be distributed if anybody ever dares cross the border of Switzerland.
Now, is that the same country that has,
That's Switzerland.
if you're going to go hunting or target practice, you have to keep your gun in there's a storage place for it, like a storage unit for it. You have to go there. You must have to register
Where's
and get the
that?
ammunition. I'm
Is
asking
Switzerland?
if that's Switzerland, because I know that there is a country in that region that has those laws.
Yeah, I don't know the details beyond what I said.
That if you have a weapon, it's kept
Everybody
There's
has a
designated
weapon.
place for them.
Every family has a gun in Switzerland.
Yeah,
Nobody has any ammunition.
right. So it's actually the
thing about
ammunition.
Canada is
It's
you
the
can't get
ammunition
machine
issue.
guns.
Yeah,
Automatic weapons are very, next to impossible to get. And I've still been hearing from Canadians that there's, very tight gun control up there. It's
Okay.
it's not a Wild West culture like we have here.
It's almost impossible to get a handgun legally.
What's that?
It's almost impossible to get a handgun legally, that you would be fined $5,000 in Prince Edward Island if you have an illegal handgun.
illegal, okay.
Yeah, but it's almost impossible to get a license for a handgun. You have to be a detective or military or
So,
in Canada.
so hunters and farmers will have
Just
guns
walk over the
because they need them,
border,
yeah.
buy it, and then you next day.
Well, they can smuggle them in, but if they're not, they can't.
Oh, I
But
see.
they don't.
Oh, there's different ones, okay.
Today I read that suicide is the #1 cause of gun deaths in the U.S. So whether or not being in mental health for years and years, I think we know people who have very significant mental health issues in this country who are untreated.
That, I wouldn't disagree with you.
And
Sorry, go ahead.
so then,
I did recently meet,
and interestingly enough, I can say, and I don't mean this to be offensive to anybody, but I know from all my trainings that white men, single white men, are the highest rate of completed suicides in any group. So when you think about this, that's the #1 cause of gun deaths, that makes total sense.
Right.
Because they're the ones, and it's a very violent, it's a very angry way to commit suicide, and that's the #1 cause of gun deaths in the United States. So it's not people, going out and rampaging, it's people that are very ill to begin with
Kill themselves.
who
Yeah.
can get a gun.
and I met someone recently who does home health care, and she was kind of amazed at the number of people that she cares for that have a weapon, that live alone, their families aren't really as involved, but they have a weapon. She said, that some of these people have difficulty standing up, but they still keep a weapon in the house, and she's, very afraid and has spoken to family members
To get
about.
someone that can't even walk, and it's like.
Right, so she feels it's, again, very similar to a driver's license. Like,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
are beyond the age where you can drive safely, maybe
Yeah.
we should talk about whether or not you should have a weapon as well.
Well, what of course will happen with that, if someone is frail, someone will come in and take the gun, and, I mean, that's the issue. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be useless for the person, because, I mean, this is the thing is, my father had a cousin who was killed by a sniper in Italy, in the British Army, and he was all armed and had all kinds of guns, and he was, but that's how shooting happens. It's the act of surprise. And with home invasions and with school invasions, no one's expecting it. So you're not sort of hanging around with a gun. You're teaching kids the alphabet.
Right,
You
and
know?
I've worked one-to-one with children that are on the autism spectrum. So I worked in classrooms where we've had 4 kids and 5 adults, and we still couldn't have safety scissors. We could not have safety scissors. We have one little boy who was very similar to, like, when you blow up a balloon and let the air out. He just had a lot of energy, very physical behaviors, and self-soothing mechanisms that he did. And there's no way that we could have been armed to protect those children. There's just no way. So someone would have gotten hurt the first day.
So that would mean every one of those teachers would have had to have had a gun.
There's
The logic
discussion
is
that no
just-
teacher would be forced to, but I sort of feel like you might feel like you had to. There might
Yeah.
be some peer pressure. Hopefully that's not going to happen though.
When do you think we'll see a politician announce that we're in the throes of a stupidity epidemic?
Right, exactly.
Forget it, sorry.
They can't happen, saying that.
It is. This is an epidemic this is
stupidity.
national
Yeah.
stupidity.
Is there any a congressperson in Pennsylvania who's taking the lead in this issue? Because you never hear this, they never seem to speak out, at least in my experience. You
There are
work with some of the Congress people?
Yeah, I have. Well, Senator Killian is the one that's presenting the domestic violence bill. And that is, if you have a protection from abuse, a PFA out against you, you have to turn over your weapons. Now, that is, there's already legislation about, there are already laws about that, but currently in Pennsylvania, you have 60 days and you have to hand them over to a third party. It doesn't have to be an authority. So, you know, my drunk uncle, right, could hand the weapon over to my family and overpower my 5-foot mother in 5 minutes if he decides he wants to use the weapon, right? So that wasn't working out for anybody. So the new law would be that you have 24 hours after the, and it's after the protection from abuse, like there's already been a hearing, so there aren't a lot of questions about whether the person really is guilty, or that should have been solved, that should have been decided already at the hearing. And then they have to hand over their weapons to authorities, and for as long as the protection from abuse is out there. So Senator Killian is proposing that. Is it Madeline Kane does a lot of domestic violence work, and she's proposed some gun safe legislation. Senator Casey has a disarm hate bill that's national that would prohibit people that are convicted of hate crimes from buying weapons or buying firearms. Who are other leading legislators? Senator Street was pretty active in championing against the guns in school bills. He is the one that proposed the amendments that are attached to it now, which has lost the NRA support. So while, again, we lost that, it's not veto-proof, and the NRA no longer supports that with the amendments that are on there. So we do have some gun sense champions in Pennsylvania. Dalen Leach is a gun sense advocate, Senator Haywood, Brian Sims, Senator Josh Shapiro, the Attorney General. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of the term for a second. And some members of his office. And it was actually when we met the Pennsylvania Victims Advocate, it was with some of the Deputy Attorney Generals as well. So we do have some good advocates. We also have, the Orange Army in Pennsylvania, which is a lot of hunters, and they're afraid that they're going to lose their guns. And that's where Ceasefire PA comes in, because they work with everybody to try to find legislation that's going to be comfortable for all Pennsylvanians. And they, like you said, they don't do grassroots. They usually call us in if they're going to do grassroots, to be honest, and we help them with that. We work really closely with them. I do have some talking points from the open carry loophole. I don't know if that answers any of your questions. I don't. Okay. So, just like you pointed out, research indicates that open carry increases the likelihood of violence. I don't think this group is surprised by that.
Yeah, it was just so frightening seeing the pictures of those people with all these guns strapped on them in Charlottesville. Absolutely frightening.
Well, it reminds me of the brown shirts in Weimar, Germany.
I think that's what they were trying to do.
Sure.
The Nazi takeover of the United States.
But there were good people on both sides.
Oh.
Well, and there was, I believe, a rabbi in his temple at the time, and there were Nazis marching in the streets with guns. He couldn't leave his.
There was shouting Sikh Heil.
Yeah.
Walking by the synagogue, or
Okay.
marching by the synagogue. And then they were also saying explicitly anti-Jewish things.
Mm-hmm.
While, so a bunch of them, some of them were carrying automatic, like rifles. So, it's interesting. These guys are like duds, but the brown shirts, they carried clubs mostly. They weren't able to carry firearms if you look at the film from that period, but they're like feeling I'm Jewish, so my feeling is that they were trying to act out like what they thought the Nazis would be, the brown shirts would be doing.
Well, but then, I mean, after Hitler was in power and he took over the army, I mean, he armed everyone. I mean, that was the issue. I mean, initially they didn't. I know my mother-in-law talked about Crystal now being at her brother having one small rifle at the bottom of the steps, saying, you know, just ready to shoot anyone that came and, you know.
We're starting to learn, we're starting to run out of time, so any final?
No, I know, I saw that you guys write letters, so I brought postcards. I think that you have all of those. I have sign-up sheets if you want to give me your emails, etc. I can mail them if you want, or if you have, if you know your own representative, just write the name and I'll find the address. I know this district is Dwight Evans. Do you know who your representative is? Do you know who your representative is?
I'm not sure, dear. I'm new to Pennsylvania, so my zip code is there.
Oh, okay. Oh, well then I'll find it. There you go. I'm actually going to be delivering some.
This is Amnesty International meeting, August 2017. We have had a talk from Moms Demand Action.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
This is peacescientist.org, Dr. Susanna Dodgson.
Yes, we talked.
Yes,